and welcome to our May monthly Supervisors meeting. This time I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll invite you to join the board as we stand and pledge the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time we'll have the roll call.
Barry Long,
Here.
Arthur Zerby,
Here.
David Weinbach,
Here.
Michael Reiner, Elizabeth McGovern,
Here.
Carol Martin.
Okay, at this time I'm going to read a partial news release on the United Veterans Council pilgrimage, which they do on Memorial Day. So on Memorial Day, which is Monday, May 28th, they will be going to the Bowmansville Memorial Park at 8:15, and at 9 o'clock they'll be at the St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church. They do this every year. They start in New Holland, and they end up back in New Holland. And they have a speaker, I guess, that speaks briefly at each location. So again, that's Memorial Day, 8:15 in the morning at Bowmansville Memorial Park, and 9 o'clock at the St. John's Evangelical Lutheran. Okay, at this time we'll have a community open session. And I was reminded this 2 weeks ago at a workshop that if anyone wants to speak and does not want to go on the camera, because we do record it, there's no objections to record it. But if anyone does not want to speak because of that, just simply say no camera, and I'm sure he'll respect your wishes. Other than that, at this time, I'll let, if you're ready to speak, just state your name, and then you got 4 minutes.
Okay. My name is David Speaks. The question I have is there's a house on 897 that's totally abandoned between like the Turnpike and 222. What's the status of that? It's just sitting there. It's a mess. Are they going to tear it down? Anybody know? You know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Okay, there's more than one.
Well,
Going from the Turnpike 897 toward 222, is it on the right or left?
left.
Left.
There's one on the left, yeah.
That's Zimmerman's. That's going to be torn down. A developer bought that, and I just go build a home there.
Or something, but it's just a total mess. And you drive
Yeah,
by
there's a dump truck sitting there for sale.
There's a dump truck there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is in the process of tearing it
It's
down.
gonna tear it down.
Yes.
He bought.
I'm sorry, I was trying to picture which one you meant, but yes.
He bought 3 properties that are
Yeah.
in bad repair, and he tears them down and utilizes the lots to build new homes.
Just was
So
curious.
it's gonna be gone after a week.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Is there anyone else? Yes, just state your name.
Yes, it is. Again, going back on 12/1, I remember speaking to this group, suggesting that prior to rezoning, perhaps someone should reach out to realtors and find out what kind of property owners, what kind of people might want to move into this these rezoned locations. And I don't know that anyone has come of that, but my concern is at a previous meeting hearing about, well, maybe we should put in the sewer line or this or that in anticipation of them needing that or wanting that if they decide to move into that property and have a business there or whatever. I'm just really concerned that we are going to go ahead and spend township dollars kind of on speculation. And again, I would just like to reiterate that I wish someone would reach out to a realtor or realtors or someone else to find out what type of business would be interested in those rezoned properties, so we don't rush in, spend money needlessly, and then find out it's not appropriate. There's a variety of different codes, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Sometimes you can't even have a business if it's well water because of fire suppression regulations, etc. So again, just a word of caution. I would hope someone would heed it at some point in time before spending money to attract someone to those rezoned areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm responding to that.
Sure.
As far as the sewerage, in any ventures like that, to my knowledge, and I would be in favor of it for the township or the sewer authority to extend the sewer line. That should be at the cost of the people that are doing whatever project they're after. But the taxpayer should not be extending sewerage for other people's gain and business ventures or housing developments. That should not be the township's tax. That's the way I feel.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, just state your name and then,
My name is Michael Gormley. I live at 10 Broadway Drive. I moved into that home August of 2012. Wasn't made aware of any water problems. About 3 months after that, I had 18 inches of water in my basement, which I pumped for months. I was coming here for help and trying to find some plan for the watershed, which none of that development is on the watershed. Eventually, I rented a sewer drained a pipe that's 250 feet from my property line. There was a spring that was in the golf course. I didn't have any problems for the last 5 years until Landmark was working over there. And I took the day off, spent with the foreman, followed the pipe through the retention pond they were putting in. And he told me that was where the pond stopped. So I stopped working with them. The next day there was a pan stuck right behind my house. So we broke the pipe. They didn't tell me that the pond extended in a kidney shape around where he told me it came out of and what continued to my house. So this year I've had water in my basement for 5 months now. I've been trying to talk to Andy, I've been trying to talk to Landmark. I'm not getting any help. Landmark's not taking my calls anymore. So I need help from you people, or I need you to get Landmark to fix this problem. I'm pumping tens of thousands of gallons of water out of my basement onto the street.
okay.
It has been forwarded.
I was told, Andy told me that they're not going to help.
No. No one here ever, not to my knowledge, ever said, but Eddie, the roadmaster, really can't help you, unless the board of supervisors would direct him to. But we need somebody to come up with why your water problem and where it's coming from.
Well, I don't know if there was permits when the house was built, or there was a permit to put the pipe in from the spring, but you should have permits from when the house was built. Who was the builder? Where are the permits? Where is the pipe? What's it coming out of? Where's it going? I don't have any of that information. I tried to get recovered from this office. This is what I do for a living. I do utility work. And I tirelessly tried to find this information out. And I'm running into brick wall after brick wall. So I need help with this water problem at my house. It's really bad. Algae, mold in my home that I bought.
We understand the only property the township owns out there is the street.
You gave the permits to build the homes. You gave the permits for Landmark to build behind my home. Now, by law, they're responsible for, it's a superior to an inferior water plan. They're responsible for that water. You're responsible for the storm water. Now, that water is only a certain time of year, and they broke the pipe. I haven't had a problem since I drained or cleaned that pipe out 5 years ago. Now, this year, I have the problem again. I personally asked them if I could go out there and find it and fix it. And they said no. They won't let me on their property.
Well, we can try to help coordinate something between you and Landmark. But I know that this spring has been very wet.
No.
Yes.
This is every year.
Well, let me finish. This spring has been very wet. The North Lancaster County Sewer Authority is having 30% higher flow because of infiltration into their water system lines and stuff. So obviously the water table is high right now.
When I tell you that I have 18 inches of water in my basement, I have
I'm
two
not-
sump pumps, and they're going 24 hours a day for 5 months and not budging that water.
I
That's not
said we
rainwater.
will try to help coordinate that you and Landmark get together and try to resolve it.
Please do.
Okay.
Something needs to be done.
Yeah. At the same time, like I said, I know that this has been a wet spring.
I
So,
understand that. Is 2012 wet? Because I
I
have
don't
the same
know.
issue.
I'm not arguing that you're getting water. I'm just saying, we'll try to coordinate something that you and Landmark get together on this.
Well, I've been trying to
Yeah.
have correspondence with them. They're not taking my calls. They're
Thank
just
you.
hoping I go away.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, that concludes our committee session. I know there has been some emails going around, and I know, Andy, you have talked to the board and different stuff, and I think we'll try to see if we can reach some type of resolution with Landmark. But I don't think it's a township,
He's
totally
calling.
township issue.
Is the pipe broke? Did they break a pipe? Yes.
I don't know.
Do you have your name, please?
I'm Tyra Landmark.
Okay.
I'm not here on this issue, I'm here on another issue. I don't on the agenda, but our excavator, the area where the pipe was in our basin, and we uncovered it when we were doing the excavation of our basin. And I don't remember if the excavator broke it, but we replaced a portion of the pipe to make it more of a sturdier pipe, but we never dug back further past where we excavated. So we were never able to determine where the source of the pipe was. And like him, we did research to find if there were any permits or easements or plans that were put into place that identified this pipe. So we have absolutely no clue where this pipe runs to, who put it in, or anything.
What kind of pipe is it?
It was just a PVC pipe.
And how big?
Probably,
6 inch?
yeah, I would say 6.
4 to 6 inch. They, there's water flowing out of it. So if it is broken, it's getting water filtration from somewhere. I don't know, but it's buried. There's no. I've asked the sewer authority to camera the pipe, and they can't camera that pipe, being that it's quarter to halfway full of water. Camera wouldn't reveal anything anyhow, and it's corrugated. That corrugated snake pipe at the end. Sewer authority says they can't camera a pipe like that. It's got to be a smooth inside. They can't do the ripped pipe. So.
Is it that flexible pipe with the holes in it?
No, it's
It's
solid.
corrugated, not perforated.
Huh?
It's not perforated, it's corrugated.
Right, corrugated. It's not. Did I say perforated?
No?
Oh.
I just asked.
Yeah. But
Well,
I don't know if this is any help or not. We have a property over in Road 22. I can go home and look at it. We might have some blueprints or something that would shed some light on stuff. Unfortunately, I think at that time, perhaps the golf course owner who sold property was also somebody for it. So I don't know where anything would be on there that would help.
I'll actually shed some light on that. I mean, if we're talking about subsurface drainage, there are no records of that. I mean, you won't find any records or plans or easements or anything like that for sump pump by, I'm sorry.
If I can say something too.
Well, I was just gonna finish my thought,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. But you're not gonna find anything on record because we don't regulate subsurface drainage, we only regulate overland flow. So what we're talking about here is a subsurface drainage issue. So you're not gonna have any stormwater regulations that cover that. If there's a pipe that went in that was broken in, by the contractor on their property, I mean, that happens all the time, I'll be
So would
honest.
it easily show the one with the pipe or something
No.
has a range?
It won't show anything.
Nothing at all?
No. No, unless it's what you'll see for a storm sewer pipe, I mean, you'll have record of that, a 12-inch line in most cases, concrete, or plastic pipe in some cases, if it's conveying overland flow or surface runoff. But because it's subsurface, those things go all over the place. It's like a tile field in a farmer's field. They're running everywhere. So, and usually, and I was out with Andy on this, and that's kind of what I told him at that point in time. And you know, if the developer's working with the owner to try to repair a portion that they, you know, damaged, so be it. But I would say, in my opinion, the property owner would then have the burden to try to fix whatever the issue is on his property.
It's
And
not a township
It's
issue.
not a township issue, it's a private matter between the owner to fix or gain access. And it sounds like there's some cooperation from the developer already with that regard, so.
Generate a letter as soon as you tell them to provide
You're next.
insurance.
I just wanted to make this comment. Years ago, when we first moved here in the early 90s, got to know the person who built the golf course, who sold it to Frick. And this gentleman, one of the things he said about it was 2 farms that were bought to build a golf course. And they did a water test to see how much water was in the ground, because if there wasn't enough water in the ground, we couldn't irrigate properly. And he said that there was so much water in the ground that they wouldn't have a problem for 100 years to water a golf course. So if you understand, if you've been around a sport like golf, and I've been on golf courses all over the country, you got ponds, you got creeks, you got water that golf courses will go fill something up, cover it over, thinking that they can put a pipe in the ground and reroute the water flow, and the water just goes where nature wants it to, so then all of a sudden you got this huge wet spot or something. And that's the way golf courses are. You got 2 irrigation ponds that are sitting up there that were spring fed, and you made a catch basin out of one of them, or enlarged it or something. But there might have been a pipe coming out of there for some reason to drain it down to have like overflow. So I've seen that one pond fill up to the top where it flows over. Okay, maybe they'll run it down to the creek somewhere so that to have the overflow go away. And the other thing that golf courses do is that they'll put French drains in fairways, okay? And that's the pipes with holes in them. But once, the trench is built, pipes put down there, they put stone on it, cover it with sod, and then the pipe, at some point, it becomes a solid pipe that's running off somewhere, okay? Maybe that's what the problem is. It might be a fairway, if the pipe got cracked and there's that much water in the ground, it's just running into the pipe, I mean, it's a problem. I've seen it on other golf courses.
How far is the pipe away from the Mike's house?
Oh, well, from where it daylights, at bird's flight, you're probably talking 300 feet, maybe a little more. Apparently, it's hard to explain without actually seeing, but kind of where the new road comes down on the Broadway, it kind of snakes up along there, along the backside of the properties, I believe, through that pond. And after it exits where they had uncovered it, nobody knows where it goes.
Yes.
I think we have to remember that probably when it was installed, they encroached onto somebody else's property, and that's where the conflict is now. This is probably all on somebody else's property. And if you went 300 feet from the house, while it was a golf course, it worked. But then when they did the storm work, it's definitely landowner between landowner.
And if it's a solid pipe, then it's carrying water from one specific point
The
to
basement
another.
is basement. But
You mean that's where it's going?
It ultimately was on somebody else's property to discharge, or else they wouldn't have hit it when they did the basement. They didn't go into Grumley's yard to.
So you think they interrupted the discharge end of it, not the inflow?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, Mike and I did have a meeting with the North Lancaster County Authority, and they did say their flows are a lot higher here in 2018 than they were in 2017 because of a wet spring and a wet winter. So you kind of got the worst of both sides of it. So. Okay. Okay, we have a guest tonight. Wanda Swarr.
My name is Wanda Swarr. I have lived in the township almost all of my life, and I'm ashamed to say this is the first township meeting I've been at, so I apologize for that, but I am very glad to be here tonight. I'm representing a new learning enterprise called Pathways, and before I tell you what that has to do with the township, I'd like to give you a little bit of background. I've been in teaching and education for almost 35 years. I started out working at conservation schools and nature centers. I then became a public school teacher. I continued to homeschool, after my public school teaching, I homeschooled my own children. I became a homeschool evaluator, consultant, and most recently I've been working at a learning center. So I have quite a bit of experience in education. And what I have found over the years is that the face of education has really changed, and not in a positive way. What I have found recently is that kids are harder and harder to teach. They're harder and harder to engage because they're passive learners. And I believe that has a great deal to do with how they're spending a lot of their time. If any of you have children or grandchildren, you know that a lot of that time is spent like this, on cell phones, or watching TV, or playing video games. And kids have lost their sense of curiosity, and they've lost their desire to learn. And I'm speaking in general for the most part. It has become very hard to teach because I can't stand up in front of a classroom and be more entertaining than their social media or their video games or TV movies. And so I really believe that we need to find a new way of educating kids. And I have had a vision for starting a micro kind of learning enterprise, a small learning enterprise that would incorporate project-based learning. So we would have kids getting a strong academic foundation, but at the same time they would be doing a lot of hands-on projects. They would be learning about things that are relevant to their lives. They would be presented with problems, with issues, not always problems, but even questions, things to learn about and discover and research, and that would drive their learning. That will drive what they do in language arts and science and math. And so together with a group of people, we have decided to try to start a micro learning enterprise that would kind of combine homeschooling and a small, kind of into a small school setting. The children would come 4 days a week, 3 days the next week. The days that they aren't in school, their instruction would be delivered via a web page. What really excites me though is getting kids excited about learning and giving them relevant things to learn about. So when our steering committee met and they said to me, what would be your ideal kind of location to do the kind of projects that you have in mind? I said, well, of course we would need a building. We would need internet access. But what I would really, really love, and this comes from my environmental education background, what I would really love is to have some woodland, a field or fields. Said a stream would be wonderful, and a pond would just be icing on the cake. You know, to get kids outside in fresh air, learning, using their hands. I gave them my ideal, and then we started looking around and saying what place might meet those qualifications. I was actually riding a bike one day, and I was riding past Brubaker Park, and I thought, man, that place would meet the qualifications, but it doesn't have a building. And then I was driving, I was biking down the hill, and I saw the lane going down to the old Brubaker farm. And I thought, oh, I wonder if the Brubakers live there anymore. I went to school with Patty. And I did some questioning and checking around and found out that the township actually owned the Brubaker House. Oh, I wonder if they'd be interested in possibly allowing us to use the building for our small learning enterprise. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to seek your approval to possibly use Brubaker House and Brubaker Farm to house Pathways, which is the learning enterprise. And I can see a lot of really positive benefits from both ways. Of course, it would benefit the students. And I kind of shared already the kind of learning and vision that I have in mind for them. But I think it could also really benefit the township. Project-based learning really incorporates a lot of collaboration between students, between community, And I think maybe the best way I could explain it would be to give you an example project. So let's say that we're going to study biology, chemistry, environmental science by having the kids go out and do a stream study. We would have them go down to the stream that runs through Brubaker Park. We could study the biotic factors, the abiotic factors. We could study water flow. Maybe we could learn about pipes and where the water goes on golf courses. But we would study water flow, oxygen. We would maybe pull somebody in from the Fish and Game Commission to talk to the kids. Somebody maybe from the Lancaster County Soil Conservation District to talk to the kids. And then after they do the stream study and they gather a lot of information, then we would ask them, in what way would you want to improve this stream? And what focus would you want to have? Maybe they would decide that they would want to improve it for trout habitat. Or maybe they would look at the erosion along the banks and say, we want to improve this, we want to do some plantings and improve so there's not so much of erosion. The next thing we would do is we would have the kids start doing some research. They might research native plants if they want to do erosion control. They might research the ways that they can improve stream trout habitat. Then we would have them design a proposal. Okay, how could we do this? What could we propose that we could do that would help us? The proposal could be presented to the township. We're getting kids in here and we're getting them to be part of local government or at least involved in it. That would be public speaking. Writing a proposal would be language arts. If the township or the landowner, wherever we would be at, would approve it, then we would have the kids go back and start looking at materials and research. And we could have them write letters to local businesses asking for donations of materials to make improvements to the stream, which would benefit the park. I would imagine that a lot of times businesses, when they're approached for donations, say, we give our taxes to the township already, that's enough. But if students would be asking for donations, they might be a little more likely to say, yeah, we want to help these kids with their project. Ultimately, they would be doing the project, improving the park. Kids that wouldn't maybe be as hands-on could be doing photographs and documenting the process. Somebody could be writing up something for the newspapers. So kids that are strong in language arts could be doing that. So it's a way of making learning relevant for the children, making them excited about it, getting them invested in their communities, and collaborating not only as a team with each other, but as a team with local businesses and as a team with the township. And I think one of the most exciting things about that is if we can do that, we're developing future citizens, we're developing future volunteers for the park. Maybe we're even encouraging future township supervisors or zoning officers and so forth. So that's our vision for the school. We'd like it to be academically strong. We would like it to prepare kids for college if they would like to go to college, but also have a lot of hands-on things that will prepare them for either the workforce or their role as a citizen. So we are looking for approval to possibly use Brubaker House as our location and to use the park as our outdoor learning laboratory. The other thing that really excites me, we met with Park and Recreation Board. We talked about this with them. We actually met with the engineer and the building code person. We have been speaking with Levi a lot. Outside of the environmental bent, I just really am super excited about the historical aspect of the house and found out yesterday that it's not on the National Historical Registry. But I'm thinking, what a cool project to have the kids working alongside some adults to research not only the house, the local history, the township, but to research the process of getting it registered and maybe even being involved in forming a preservation committee if that's something that the township would be interested in. So looking ahead at like heritage center type things. Some of the other ideas that we would have for projects would include, we have a lot of environmental things. The stream study is just one example, but improve habitat, raise quail to release, the nature trails that you already have going through the park, have kids work on those, have them develop signage for some of the trails, even have them develop some guides, books or guide sheets that you can laminate and have for visitors to take as they go through the trails. Long-range projects could even be some kind of small environmental center that would be open one day a month for the public to come into. That would be staffed by students and their teachers. They would develop the displays, present the information, or even historical presentations. So the ideas are endless. If I could go on for the next 3 hours telling you about our ideas for projects that the kids could do that I really think would benefit the township. Some of the immediate benefits I think would be that your property would be maintained. We have a whole slew of students and parents who would be interested in volunteering time to help clean up that area, but also just to maintain the property, because when the house is left unoccupied, it deteriorates faster. So I think occupancy would be a fantastic thing, having a visible presence there. And I also think the whole idea of getting kids involved and giving them some investment and ownership, when you're going to be developing a group of teenagers that's going to actually care about their local communities and care about their parks. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, it's true this house has been sitting there, and we haven't been able to come up with some type of way to utilize it. When Jim Brubaker lived there, he kind of maintained it. When he moved out, it was in disregard and needed a lot of work done. But can you describe the demographics and kind of a picture of who these students are and where they're from?
Sure. Sure. We're not exactly sure who they are yet because we're in the process still. I mean, this is a new enterprise. We're having a parent meeting on Thursday night, and so far we probably have about 30 parents coming from the local area. Probably as far away, some of the families would be from the Efford and New Holland area. We have a few families from the Berks area just right over the line, but we also have very local families here in Terry Hill, Brecknock Township. So the demographics are kind of all over, but within, I would say, 30 minutes of the park. The ages that we're shooting for right now are junior high and senior high. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. Does this replace junior high and senior high as far as our local public school?
No.
Okay.
No. There's always going to be a need for the public school. There's always going to be a need for private school, homeschooling. What this is a new option. Frankly, in the homeschooling world, I'm a homeschool evaluator, people who have done it super successfully. But when they get to the high school level, there are some parents who are just a little bit more intimidated. And also, when kids get to the high school level, sometimes they just need other authorities in their life as well. Not every parent can afford private school. And there are parents that choose not to go to public school for various reasons. I've been involved in all of those, and I see a need for all three. But I also see a need for some new educational choices. And they're popping up all across the country. There are public micro schools with small schools that have maybe a different way of teaching. Project-based teaching is actually becoming more popular, not in the bigger schools, but in some of the smaller schools that are popping up in the country.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah. At this point, I'm not for or against it, so you understand that.
I do.
I'm just
Absolutely.
trying to get this in my mind because I was not any part of this. You haven't seen me up until this evening.
We don't have it.
I have quite a few questions, actually. The use of it, well, first off, to do something like this, you're going to have to get handicap accessible, I'm sure.
Right.
And you thought about that.
We have.
And some handicap accessible projects get costly,
Right.
you know, and I guess you thought about that.
Right now, we're looking at first floor usage only, which helps out considerably with the ADA.
Now, I did get a little thing in here, so I did read briefly. And there's a few things on there that could cost some money. Now to go through with this, should it go through? First off, It's owned by the residents of the township.
Yes.
It's not owned by me or any member here or anybody. It's owned by the whole, it was their tax dollars and other people's tax dollars who put this all in place. To fund something that they're already paying for school, through the school taxes and everything, and to fund something that they're already paying for, there almost has to be, and I'm sure you probably thought about this, I hope, some kind of rent or lease or something,
Yeah,
We have,
absolutely.
you know? Because people aren't going to be very keen of funding Eastern Lancaster County School District.
And funding another school as well. We're not asking for funding of the school. We are not asking for funding of the
this is-
school. And even, I think we have people that are willing to contribute toward labor and materials if this would move forward. And then rent as well. So we're not asking for funding.
Then-
It should not take away from the township financially at all.
Well, it really shouldn't, in
No.
my opinion, you know.
I agree.
your,
At this
your
point.
cost would be the improving of the property.
Okay, you said the improving of the property. I'm sure you realize that if something gets improved over there, it's not just call somebody up and say, come and do it. We have to put it out for bids.
Right.
It has to go through the board. A school, you would get, we don't pay no sewer fees at this point. I don't know if you consider picking up the quarterly sewer fee, 200, something, 209. And there'd be the electric.
Yes, we have thought about utilities,
It,
internet. Yeah, we have.
because this is something that, I will let you know right now, I don't think that our taxpayers should be funding, should it go through, you know.
I agree. I think it should be a benefit to the township and to the taxpayers.
Well, there'd have to be work on the roadway.
Right.
How many vehicles in and out? How many families coming?
At this point, again, we have our first parent meeting on Thursday night, and we're looking at different options. But I am thinking it would probably be about 10 to 15 vehicles to pull in and drop off.
And then there's things over there that you can't utilize. The barn's not safe for, at this point, children. For somebody that knows what they're doing, been around barns, yeah, but no.
Not for kids.
No, they're gonna get hurt.
Right.
You know, there's some of them. But, my biggest concern is we have to watch what this board does, because if we would go your way, we don't need residents to come forward and say, well, that's not fair.
I agree.
I would have gave you so much to use it for our project. You know, we don't need people coming to us saying that we, I don't know how to word it to you, that we gave it to somebody and they would come forward and say, so reasonable or something. I'm not looking for big money or anything at this point, I'm just
And we would be
telling
looking
you,
at a rental with
you know. But,
How should I say, back on, I looked at my calendar, April 16th, I walked in the gentleman's office here. I never met before. And I said, what are your plans for the Brubaker?
right. And I said you don't know. Is that right?
Well, first we introduced each other.
Yeah.
And he said, Bob, we just take a look at it, we're making improvements, and I said, I have an idea for you, think about it.
And you know, it's gone through my mind many, many times. What are we going to do with that building someday? you don't want to let it sit empty forever, but we don't want to do something that you're going to regret later. You know, we have to make sure it's done right. So,
I look at it, you have a diamond in the rough here. As Wanda just explained, there is so much potential there. And what can be done.
that,
And I know this is like, I know you're aware of the project, I know the individual informed you of it, but it's a lot to take on.
you know, George Washington was around when that was originally built.
Did he speak there?
No. It was, we took it down because it was in bad shape, but the big maple tree in the front yard, you might be able to see the stump yet. It was one of the main places back in Prohibition where moonshine was made. There's a lot of history there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, it's a shame for the barn, because the barn really could be put into place. Somebody could raise cattle. Even today, you put in sheep, few hogs, chickens. But that all takes money to put everything into place, you know. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that yes, it's something to really think about. But we want to make sure we can't just, in my opinion, say, here, use it.
No, we're not asking.
We understand that.
Because that wouldn't be fair to our taxpayers and our people. Well, maybe you have a lot of money. You can support two school systems. So that's really all I have to say is a good proposal or something, you know. These are all like a homeschool.
It would be officially registered as schools, yes.
Yep. And 2 classrooms. Or
Two groups.
2
It would be
groups.
like a 7th through 8th grade and then a 9th grade. We would top it at 30 students
30.
maximum.
Okay. I'm pretty near done. I'd like to see, I guess you gotta keep working on this if you wanna do something till fall. Right, till the new school year. So, I guess I'll be interested to see what proposals come out of this, or what is discussed. That's between the Park and Rec Board, zoning officer. Maybe the engineer has to get involved in a little. You like to get involved in stuff, Barry?
I do.
Yeah. Where we all 3 can't do it except here at the meeting, and then you can come forward and let us know what you learned. So, that's about all I have to say, is just a lot of things to discuss there.
You said something about improvement. What do you see needing done other than the ADA? As far as improvements?
Well, for, like the bathroom downstairs. And right now, we're looking into, we need 2 bathrooms, or we have 1 unisex bathroom. The doorways are pretty much, I'll just use it quick.
That would kind of be ADA stuff, so is there
Right.
other things, new flooring or anything like that?
No.
The windows are going in already.
Your windows, yeah, your roof is in, your heating, cooling is in.
So other than getting the ADA stuff done, you could just move right in. You wouldn't have to paint or flooring or...
Paint needs to be decided. A general cleanup of that interior of that house is gonna make a major difference.
I was in it for the first time yesterday, I believe. It's not near as bad of shape as I imagined it was. But it was.
I had the same comment when I was told about the house. And I went down and went inside, I thought, This is in a lot better shape than I imagined, when I was told, yeah, and I just, like I said, again, if I didn't run down through over there with that property. I'd rather see a wedding venue there in the barn than cows and sheep.
A what?
I'd rather see a wedding venue over there at that property.
Who you get married?
No? That's just our idea, Art. It's a beautiful setting for a wedding.
Yeah, but it would have to be fixed up better than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
Any
Well-
other questions from the audience?
If you keep it short, let's not drag it out, but yeah, if
Yeah.
there's something you want to ask.
I also
Yeah,
want
what's
to
more?
educator. I'm sure your solicitor is starting to think cha-ching, because this is a high liability request and proposal, whatever form it finally takes. And again, as a township resident, I'm concerned about that. What is the tie that binds your group of 30-some people or whatever that you're meeting? How did that group ascend to be a group?
That's a good question. I had entertained a conversation in my house several months ago, and I just put the word out there, anybody that would be interested in looking at new ways, new options, different ideas, and I had over 20 parents show up.
So is this an extension of your current homeschooling enterprise?
Not necessarily my current homeschool enterprise. It was just an extension of reaching out to people that I knew who were in school, homeschools, people in education. It was kind of a conglomeration of people.
And it could well be a matter of semantics, but this is an option, certainly. PBL is not new. Problem-based learning has been around for a while. Even our particular school district uses PBL widely. Everybody's school district does. So this is not brand new. It's not a fad. This, however you phrase it, this is direct competition for the local public school district. It just is. That's the way it goes. And call me concerned about that. Call me concerned about the liability. Call me concerned about where the students may be pulled from. I'm wondering, have you presented anything to Elanco School District and School Board? Have you spoken with them at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But
Do you intend to issue diplomas?
No, the parents would pursue the diploma, student diploma programs. The Lancaster School District has actually been extremely cooperative with homeschoolers, and they really do not view that as direct competition or even
And that is
competition.
Elanco's tradition. I understand that in philosophy, but it is still direct competition. Every school in an alternative educational facility, every student in an alternative educational facility has, as their student population, is one less student in the public school district. And Mr. Zerbe is correct. We all pay tax dollars to send students to the public school district. That's why we pay our tax dollars. Will those tax dollars then follow the students to this particular entity out of the school district? A lot of questions. There are a lot of questions, much more than I can even tell you at this point in time, but the liability is a big issue.
School taxes, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The school taxes you have to pay to the public school whether you send your kids or not. So anybody that sends their kids to her school will still have to pay the public school
Right, the money
taxes.
still leaves the district and goes to an alternative facility.
School taxes do not follow homeschool students at all.
But you're not calling it a homeschool situation, you're calling it a micro school, a
No,
micro
it is,
learning enterprise.
they are registered as homeschoolers, and it is a homeschool. It would be a homeschool co-op. What I'm saying is it's kind of a hybrid between it. It's taking these ideas. But school tax monies do not ever follow homeschoolers. And as far as the liability, we did research that, and we talked with insurance agents, and we would be taking out a liability policy that would cover students and property.
Well, to me, if we had the building, and it was gonna sit there empty until we came up with some type of way of using it, whether we would rent it out to a private individual that would just use it as a residence, which then you have liability there too. I look at this as a tenant, a renter that possibly is interested in using it. We'd be responsible to bring the building up to living conditions regardless. Rent it out to a family that wants to live there. I'd like to see them pursue this thing and see where it goes.
I would just say that you submit what you're requesting in writing so that we can evaluate it. I I know I talked to Levi about a group coming in and leasing the premises, not on, I didn't know how much of a daily basis this would be. Like, it's sort of like, we represent a lot of municipalities. For example, my missing has the Stone House, and people come in there, they rent it for wedding venues, parties, etc. There's pavilions at municipalities where people come and rent the pavilion. So, but if you're looking at making this sort of your location, I am a little concerned about that because it's more of the township making this sort of agreement with a private entity. So, I'm not that concerned if you want to come and use it sporadically or like once or twice a week. But to make it more of a school type of location, I don't know about the code issues, having kids in there, fire escapes, fire sprinklers, etc. I would defer to Mike's office on that, but that opens up sort of a bigger can of worms if it's going to be utilized as that use. Levi and I didn't talk about that type of use. It was more of a, come do some things. And I'm also a board member of Berks Nature, and we have the Berks Nature Center that allows kids to come in and use the facilities like Boy Scout groups, etc. So you need to submit a proposal to the township outlining what you think you want to do, and then we can review it from a legal and also code perspective. I don't know, Mike.
I actually, and I don't know if you were copied on that email or not, Liz, but when we met with Levi and the building inspector, our review of that was not all-inclusive. That was not it was basically just, this is what we'd like to do, and we kind of hit on the major issues that we see just from a site visit standpoint. We also recommended going to, getting a design professional involved to evaluate the structure itself, because there's a number of ways to slay all those requirements as far as ADA is concerned and major upgrades. But we had those conversations and just basically provided some general guidance. Just based on, some very limited information.
Yeah, I think it's a great project. I'm not saying that the township couldn't partner up, but I would want to see it, what you're proposing, and then evaluate it.
Makes sense.
From there. And also the township would have to contact their insurance carrier too.
So what's the consensus here?
We can come up with a proposal, we can go from there. I don't want to just outright say no, I don't want to say yes. Don't know.
Well, we need to find some purpose for it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we sit there empty.
I agree.
And if we rent it to a private individual just to live there, how's that benefiting anybody? And then, you could have potentially the same argument. Someone said, well, why were they given the opportunity to rent there and live there and right next to the park and all them perks and stuff, and I wasn't. They did mention there are some students within the Brecknock Township or area and stuff, and I don't know if there could be some, where there's some special privileges offered to the residents of Brecknock through this thing or whatever, but yes.
Does that being a nonprofit have a difference between that kind of entity versus a private company?
Are you a nonprofit? I don't. Yeah, they're not. So I have to you have to put that in the proposal, and nonprofit would be beneficial. Yes. Yeah.
I think pursue it and work on a proposal and see if we can't work with you somehow. Okay.
Is there anything particular you'd like to make sure that we do a proposal then that is inclusive of what you would like to see in it? Can you just give just a really brief idea of what?
I would like to see, your hours, when you intend to come in, how many students, your insurance coverage information, things like that. If I can think of anything else, I can email you, but that's, I can get your email, I guess, from Carol. If you have it. Just call me, Wanda. I can give you. I don't know if the supervisors have anything, but if legal, I'm just thinking of.
Well, I'm thinking anything that a renter would do, you're, or leaser, you're simply leasing the property from the township, and whatever requirements that we would need to secure that and protect ourselves.
Should she recap what would benefit the township?
Well,
And that proposal, just right here, you can just have a review of that, what it
it wouldn't hurt.
how the residents would benefit.
Were you planning on making any improvements to the property? I think you said about painting, but I don't know if there's any lead paint on
And that we would want to do.
That's a big
under
issue
the
with kids too,
guidance-
lead paint.
Right, under the guidance of course, the township and the people in charge of the township. But we do have volunteers that would be willing to provide manpower and labor and possibly some materials to deal with that.
Do we know if there's lead paint in that? We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay,
It's probably like,
okay,
I would think it's possible.
okay,
Good chance, right?
yeah.
That's an issue we would have regardless.
I know that, you gotta address that, yeah. I just,
Yeah.
yep.
We do some latex.
Okay. I think we pursue it from this end just as we're getting ready for someone to lease or rent it from us, and that's the way it's treated.
It would be good to get someone in and
We've been waiting for someone to come up with an idea.
Everybody gets a sewer, or why not put something in the bill saying you're looking at possible usage suggestions? Otherwise, no one even knows unless they come to a meeting and it's available. And believe it or not, the wedding venue is a money maker. The township's been doing it, it's a money maker.
I think, from my perspective on this, I haven't received their proposal, but I've talked to Levi. I think this use can be one use, that it can be used by this organization, but that it would still be opened up to the residents, for wedding venues, for other times. You're not gonna be there during the week. It would be exclusive to your
Private
use.
retreat.
That's right.
Yeah.
It would, that was my understanding, that the
That's how
township.
I'm looking at it too.
Right.
It would be open to the weekends.
That's right,
For
so-
the residents to use.
Right, so that's what I would want to see in that
Yeah.
proposal. How many days, and plus, like you had said, that it would be open for other uses, like a wedding venue or.
Well, at this point, the discussions we've had is just directly related to the house.
Right,
You start doing the wedding venues, you're looking at a totally different project.
well, I understand that, but this, for example, like the Wine Missing Stone House, they allow people to, it's just a stone house, but they come in, they have catering there, and then people, have a tent outside or certain things like that, which could be utilized.
I just view that as a long range.
Right,
vision
right. Yep,
For the board to
Yeah.
look at.
yeah,
And that's
Small steps at a time.
yeah,
baby steps,
Yeah.
Jerry.
right.
And I think what we're proposing would be the beginning of those baby steps to even get, I would hope that what we would do would help to move the house and the property forward to other uses and improvements and options. So
Okay.
short-term, long-term kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. I'm going to look for you to follow up with something. Okay,
You guys were a council meeting, right?
go for it.
How many years are you involved?
Well, I've been on quite a long time, Art.
40?
Oh, I don't know
More.
about that. I don't know about that, it's been a long time. We won't go for years.
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you. Okay, you have the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as they're listed?
I have read the minutes and accept the minutes as approved. Make that motion.
second it.
Okay, the motion was made to accept and it was seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we have a list of the bills. I did have a comment. I saw they purchased stall mats at the park, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there's a place down in Morgantown that, you know Morgantown, maybe you, Levi knows, there's a farm that had bought all the belts and stuff out of Grace Mines years ago. And you can go buy mats for pennies on the dollar. And I was hoping that when I saw that these were interested in putting mats under the swings, that I was gonna try to get to Gary or to someone and say they ought to check that place out. But is that, do you know anything about that, Gene?
No, did you already purchase them?
Yeah, they got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason I asked you that, I have, I think, 30 Firestone, and I think they're about 30 by 30 rubber mats.
I think we still need some additional ones.
But that side, I think they're 30 by 30.
The cow mats are
4 by 6, I think.
Yeah, 4 by 6, yeah. 30 by 30.
These were roof mats that they had on top of the roof, and they, when I put the roof on, they go all wet.
Oh.
I don't know what that means.
I also noticed, for the record, that we spent twice as much salt this year as last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your mix? What's the mix you're using now?
2-1. 2 scoops of salt to, so it's like, what, 60-40 or whatever.
When they weren't looking, I used to go 1 scoop of salt to 2 stone, and they thought it was still good. I went completely opposite and saved 2/3 of the money.
The only issue I have with that is the more cinders you put on the road, the quicker your ditches fill up.
Yeah.
But then you're out there scraping ditches, so what money are you actually saving?
Yeah, but you're not spending.
Well, just according to my records, we spent, in 2016, we spent $7,000 in salt. In 2017, we spent $28,000 in salt. And this year, in the 5 months, we spent $54,000 in salt.
How much has the price increased in 2016?
I'm just saying that this winter may not have been heavy snow, but you've been having a lot of ice, freezing rain.
Since it's constant being out.
I'm sure we've probably used up our budget, but that's what we need. Are there any other comments on the bills? Is there a motion to approve the bills?
Make a motion, we approve the bills as presented. In the amount of $68,345.52.
Okay, the motion was made to approve the May bills. It was seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we're moving on to reports, and we have the Township Engineers report first.
Okay. I have a number of items tonight, so I'll hit on the individual ones first, and then I'll take the rest of them at the end. Item number 1 would be the Villages of Hawk Valley time extension request. I believe Tara's here tonight. So you wanted to speak with that, Tara, and I'll give you the floor for that item.
All right, has everyone an opportunity to review what we said? Okay, so our preliminary plan expires next February 2019, so we would have to submit Phase 2 final plan approval before February of 2019. And with the amount of construction that we're doing, we won't be quite at that point yet where we need to submit final plan approval. So we're requesting extension, and I just did basic math of how our volume, our inventory is, and or how we've been selling, and that brings us to 2024 is when we would submit for the phase 2 final plan approval. So we're requesting an extension until that date.
Yes, and I had some discussions with Dennis and Tara about this. This was reviewed and approved under the county saldo at that time. Now that we have our township saldo, I did run this past Liz for some input on her behalf. That this could be basically reviewed and the extension approved by the township under the saldo. We would still review, I believe, under the county saldo in effect at the time for as far as plan revisions would be concerned. But Liz, if you had anything to add regarding the request, I kind of asked you.
Yeah, he just recommended that the township only extend 1 or 2 years at a time, not, you know, a long extension like this, and expressly condition that extension on the developer acknowledging that it would have to be subject to any revisions in the applicable stormwater management regulations, which are in effect since the plan that was adopted, or any amendments, you know, that are done during that applicable time period.
Were you aware of that language? The 2 years, the 1 or 2 years instead of 5, and that you would you acknowledge be subject to any revisions to the stormwater?
I'm not surprised at that.
Okay. And you have no problem, you would accept that? Okay. Arthur, you had a concern.
And this has nothing to do with you, but I'm a little disappointed in the Hawk Valley development completely.
Oh, really?
Yes. I sat here long enough. I asked over and over and over, will you cut the hill, fill at the bottom, and make it safe? They promised faithfully, before they even built one house, the road was going to be corrected. And they have not touched
You're
it.
talking about,
Crestview.
we had 3 years in our contract to do that, so we were.
When did you get the 3 years?
It was at the end, at the beginning, the date that the developer agreement was signed, we had 3 years.
Huh. I sat in meetings and specifically, and they said they would not even build one house till that road was corrected.
Yeah, that wasn't approved as part of the land development agreement.
What, 3 years?
Yeah, there was from the date of the approval of the signature of the land development agreement. They didn't want to put out a lot of upfront cash at that point for that improvement. So they were looking for some leeway on the timing of it so that they could build a few houses and then come back and then do that.
Was it done toward the end of before the agreement period, or don't you know?
You're saying when that condition actually happened? It was toward the end of the final plan approval. Yeah, it was right before the recording of plans.
Probably went over my head.
It may have been, Arthur, yeah.
Because I would have sat here and voiced my opinion, the road has to be done.
Yeah.
When was
The
the
board at
agreement
that time,
actually
I know,
signed? When was the agreement actually signed? When did that 3 years start?
I want to say
November 2016.
16, yes. It was the end of 16.
So, right?
Yeah, we were all set that.
I didn't talk about it since then.
No.
Was it in the agreement before that? Or this was just an agreement between who owned it at the time and...
No, the land development agreement came before the board at that point in time. The language of that came before the supervisors at that point, just like you do any other approval, like when I go through my report. But that was inserted. I don't know the timing of that, but that was an item that was discussed. I know Bill Cassidy was involved with that as well.
This is one position where if you're going to be a township supervisor, you don't almost have your own lawyer to read everything before you go into a meeting.
Well, it's not that we're anxious to have this thing filled up in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I guess in some ways I didn't have a problem with their request for an extension. They're obviously not selling that fast. And, yes.
I'm just curious, and maybe Mike can answer this question. If an extension is granted, no matter how long that period of time is, Weren't there some monies exchanged between Landmark and the township, and some agreements made based about EDU availability and how long it's being held? Do these extensions kind of influence that?
That's a separate agreement.
No, we don't have an agreement as far as EDUs. That would be the sewer authority.
And it's my understanding that they did not get an extension granted on their agreement with the Northern Lancaster County Authority. That they're not using them, they have to either pay to reserve them. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is purely the subdivision plan, and the items in the subdivision plan.
What's your thoughts, Dave, on 1, 2, and 5?
I guess my thought would be 2 years, mainly because that's what our solicitor recommended. Two.
Okay, see, the 2024 is just the worst case scenario is what I threw out there. I mean, the market is picking up a little bit now. Hopefully we're here in 2 years, but if not, would we be able to request an extension? Say you do grant the 2 years, would we be able to request another extension at that time?
So,
They said yes.
So I think we're okay with the 2 years.
Okay.
Conditioned upon complying with any applicable stormwater
Sure, we're
management.
gonna do it anyway.
I
got 3
Yeah,
year
yes.
NPS permits, we have all of those.
Sure.
Well, I'll make a motion that we grant a 2-year extension on the condition that they will be subject to any revisions in the applicable stormwater management regulations which have been adopted since the plan was originally approved, or which may come into effect during the extension period.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to grant a 2-year extension, and a second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Item number 2 under my report is the Millstone Village Phase 1 and 2. This is a partial waiver request from Delmar Martin related to the landscaping within Millstone Village Phase number 1. We had a release request from Delmar related to the improvements. And essentially, in a nutshell, what happened was there was a number of plantings that were shown in the approved plan. Most of those items have been planted on the site. However, some of the plantings does not technically match up with what's on the approved plan for a variety of reasons. One of the issues was the street trees, that certain homeowners didn't want more than 2 trees on their property. They least one of them actually cut one of them down already. There was some concern there about planting trees just to have the homeowners unhappy at that point. So there were also some additional trees that were required within the riparian corridor. The majority of those have been planted along the stream bank. However, just looking at the number that was on the approved plan versus the spacing that would be in the field, there was a concern there that actually planting too many of them may actually cause them to die out, which was not the intent of that. Obviously was to just have a spaced out planting and have vegetation along the stream bank. So the waiver request is essentially outlined in the email, I believe that's in your packet, related to those vegetative substitutions or just not matching up with the approved plan. From what I've seen in the field, it appears that it's adequate. Obviously, the street trees is a little bit more of a subjective thing that property owners had some input on. So I have no objections to the partial waiver request as presented, unless the board had any questions related to that. It's not going to alter anything as far as the intent of what's out there in the field today.
Would you like that handled separately?
Sorry.
Would you like that handled separately?
Just the waiver request, actually. You could actually handle it as a whole, as a partial waiver based on what has already been installed in the field. To include street trees and the riparian plants.
Well, I'll make a motion that we grant the partial waiver request for the landscaping phase 2 as you described and as Delmar has listed in his email.
I'll second it. Comment.
Go ahead.
I've noticed these developments through the years. A lot of the plantings, till it's time to except dedication, it's all been altered. There's trees that should have been here and now they're gone, and then there were supposed to be no trees there and now there's 10 of them, and there's hardly any control on it. Unless you force them to do it,
Right.
right, and what a mess that would be. But it all changes, each property owner does what they want to. You have the initial plan to start, but they don't know why.
Right.
Okay, we had a motion and 1 second to grant the partial waiver request. Is there, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, I'll jump ahead to, on page 5 of my report, item number 12, is the John R. Zimmerman land development on Silver Hill Road. This is a land development, if you recall, it was done 1 or 2 years ago, and built out on Silver Hill Road. I believe the project, for the most part, has been completed, with the exception of a machinery shed that was proposed on that plan. And along with that, there was a stormwater facility that was proposed to coincide with that construction of the machinery shed. The applicant has basically contacted me and said he has no plans at this time to construct a machinery shed. He's looking for a return of his financial security for the improvements on the property. What I had suggested, and I had been in contact with Liz's office, and we've done this, if you recall, for a couple of other projects where we would agree to release those funds if there was an agreement that was entered into by the property owner and the township, with the understanding that those funds would be released to them, and that if any permit was applied for in the future for that particular improvement, at that point they would then post the financial security for the stormwater that coincides with that project. So I'd asked Liz to, and she has prepared a draft of an agreement, which I've reviewed and found acceptable to enter into that agreement with Mr. Zimmerman.
So the action you need is just to approve the release of the remaining improvement security.
That's correct, and I would condition that along with a final inspection of the property, just to ensure that everything is in good order as far before we would actually release the funds. So that would be just conditioned upon the engineer's approval of field inspection.
Okay, is there a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to release the remaining security funds for John R. Zimmerman land development.
Okay.
Based on the fact that you find everything satisfactory on inspection.
I second it.
Okay, we had a motion, and 1 second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, I have one other item that's not in my report, would be the notice of violation that our office issued back in February 2018. This was for to William Burkhardt related to building without a permit. This was construction of alterations within a T&T bakery property. We had issued that notice. We have not received any of the plans that we had requested at that point in time. We did issue another letter dated April the 20th, essentially giving them until tonight's meeting to produce those signed and sealed plans, which we have not received as of today. Carol, I don't think you've received anything. And we haven't returned a phone call that we placed as well. So we're recommending filing citations against Mr. Burkhardt related to that failure to comply with the notice of violation of February 2nd, 2018.
Council, you agree?
I agree.
Okay.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
William Burkhardt, you sent to him.
Yeah, he's the owner of record. Yeah,
He's the owner?
correct.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I just thought he owned the building.
Yeah. No, he's the owner of record that we have. We pulled off the tax bar sometime.
I guess if you owned the building, you would be the,
Yeah.
In some cases, yeah. In most cases.
Most cases.
okay.
Any other concerns? If you want to head with the citation.
The owner
I'm not familiar if he was involved directly or if that was the tenant that was doing the work.
Is this on the bakery or the house?
Bakery.
Bakery.
Yeah. Yeah. We had actually been notified of work being done without a permit before this, and had worked through some of those items. However, there was an electrical component that required permitting and plans. And that's the issue that we're actually referring to in this notice of violation. So that was the last piece that needed to be met, and we didn't hear back from them at that point.
And you just worked on this alone, or was Levi involved?
He was involved initially, yeah.
Yeah, I bet, since it's a building codes matter, I was made aware of it initially, and we brought it sent to John Stein.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Bill tell you he was gonna do it?
No, I'm not even sure how I discovered it. It might be because of that trailer that was there making all the noise. And I went inside the building to talk to them about that and discovered what they were doing. John Stein, he went out of his way to inspect plumbing so that they could pour concrete the following day. But then I think they never followed up.
That was the next piece was what they followed through with.
He did his best to prevent holding up the progress of the project, but then there was the mutual cooperation by the tenant.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize our solicitor to take legal action and issue a citation and try to bring them into compliance with our building codes. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I hate you.
Yeah.
Bill's my friend.
Well, hopefully the citation can maybe just get action started and bring closure to it without actually enforcement. So the motion was made and it was seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and lastly, I will read through all the other items. I'll try to do them all under one motion, if we'd like.
Yes.
Item 3 would be the Ammon and Jane Burkholder land development, a financial security release recommendation of May 4 in the amount of $12,526.51. Item 4 is the Marlon Hoover stormwater management financial security recommendation letter dated April 18th in the amount of $6,097.85. Item 5 is the Sun Valley Campground land development extension of time request from the applicant's engineer for review of the plan until August 14th, 2018. Item 6 is the Claire Hoover Stormwater Project, issued financial security recommendation of May 1 in the amount of $2,420. Also received a stormwater management agreement and memorandum of understanding. Item 7 is the James Hoover Stormwater Management. We've received a memorandum of understanding, and today we've also issued a financial security release in the amount of $3,089.09, as well as the stormwater management agreement. Item number 8 is the Randall Martin Builder Stormwater Project, financial security recommendation dated April 25 in the amount of $2,750, along with the stormwater management agreement and memorandum of understanding. Item number 9 is the Aaron Hoover Land Development, memorandum of understanding for action by the board. Item 10 is Lake and Wood Campground Land Development, also a memorandum of understanding for action by the board. And item number 11 is the Oak Creek Campground Land Development, also a memorandum of understanding for action by the board.
And verify that was 9 individual items.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation by the township engineer to take action as there's 9 items? Okay, I'll make that motion that we approve and take action on the 9 individual items that the township engineer recommended for action.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and second. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, you have the roadmaster's report. I've been trying to push you back as far as we can. You would like to see action, in addition to your report, you request an action on the issue with truck or trucks.
Yes, and since I wrote the report, I've acquired some new information. Well, I think I had said it in here, but, you know, it's gonna be, even if we would get a truck ordered tomorrow, we would not see it go to E.M. Cooks until February of next year, and they have to have it for 2 months, so we wouldn't even see it till April of next year. So that still leaves us the issue with, we'd be short one truck this whole winter, this coming winter. Now, they do have a truck that it was a demo truck they had built, would pretty much, you know, be ready to go. It's basically the same truck I expect. It's a 39,000 GVW. It'd be 144,000, which work out the final details with it. That price would come down a little bit, I believe. Take out some of the extras and stuff, but that truck would be available for purchase right away. But if we don't do it that way, we'd have to buy used, which I have to do some research for, but we have to do something, or sink 20,000 or more into the 92 Green International, which I would not highly recommend.
Could the roads be plowed with one less truck?
Could be plowed. I mean, it can be done. We did it for the last couple of storms in April here. I was actually had on and off issues with drivers all winter. I was pretty much down one driver or a truck all winter. It just takes us longer to get through our routes. The developments tend to suffer because a truck gets pulled out of developments to go onto the main roads, and it's not fun plowing the main roads with a 550. The plows are too short. Snow company, you can go like max 10 miles an hour, 15, depending on the type of snow. You just have to go so slow. But yeah, I mean, it can be done. We've done it this past winter. I had, numerous complaints explaining to people why the developments weren't getting plowed like they had previous years, because either we were down a truck or down a driver. But it's not, it is doable.
Have you talked to Dale Smith at all at E.M. Cooks about used?
Yeah, I've been in contact with Bob Gates
Where?
at E.M. Cooks.
Is Dale there anymore?
I have not spoken to a Dale.
I have not seen Dale in a couple of years. See, he's the one that would put me on to used trucks.
Yeah.
See, they know who's getting the new ones. Some of these townships are getting rid of their trucks because of stupid reasons. The reason we got the yellow one we did in Wayne Peter Township was because the color didn't match their other trucks. And it was getting old.
Yeah.
But Dale, when he was there, put me on to look at 4 different trucks. 2 of them right away when I went underneath and inspected the rust on the frame and the cab and everything. But the other two, we spent $20,000 for them too. And one went, 10 years or so, and the other one over 8, so we're pretty near 20 years of service out of that $20,000. But they know, because they're selling the new ones to these townships, they know who's getting and who's looking to then get rid of one.
Yeah. I believe a lot of townships sell on that municipal bid and won't mind anymore and stuff, and I keep my eye on there all the time. I see the trucks from Earl, Honeygrove, everywhere. And there's also govdeals.com, which is basically the same thing. Keep your eye on it. Yeah, there's townships getting rid of trucks all the time.
There's one advantage with the township getting rid of a truck to another township. They don't have to go through the bidding process at all.
Yeah.
Whatever that township agrees to sell that and whatever we agree to buy that, that's it.
Yeah.
It's fully acceptable. And the one that spiked it more than anything was the one up at Clay Township. A couple $100 more to that. You know, there are some of these townships, they like new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to be new all the time. Well, we're not as fortunate as they are, some of them. We don't have the tax base they have. And another thing is, we're not in the shape that some of these townships are in. Some of these townships are literally broke. They have no money. There's townships that have to borrow money to finish their years on. We don't ever want to get to that position. But if you say something to them, there is a possibility. I know they'll say, well, such and such a township has a truck, such and such a township, and there's nothing wrong with you. And you might want to take Dave and one of the supervisors going for a drive and look at it.
Yeah.
You know,
You were a roadmaster for what?
15 years then.
How many brand new trucks did you buy?
Okay, you know, 1, 2, 5.
5.
Do you know the condition of our trucks when I came here?
I'm not aware of them, no.
The one I drove had no brakes. Half the time the clutch didn't work. My clearance lights didn't work. We had a 550. That was a piece of junk. We had 3 trucks. We only had one that was fit to be on the road.
Yeah.
And we had to do something. And we had to do it fast. But then it got to the point, the only way that we could save our money to blacktop what we did, which we blacktopped 27 roads in that period. Development roads and main roads, was to buy used stuff. Because if we had kept buying all new stuff, we'd have never had to.
Yeah, I mean, well, 2 used, backhoe was brand new, I think, when we bought it.
Yep.
John Deere mower was brand new when we bought it.
Yep.
The 97 International was bought brand new when it, I believe.
Yep.
And that was before your time even, I believe. You were roadmaster when that one was bought?
No.
Or you were on the board?
I was on the road crew.
Oh, you,
The 97 car was
but, I just look at it, the 97 International was bought brand new and 97 still running strong to this day, I see that truck being here another 10 years.
But it had work done to it.
Yeah, every truck's going to. The 87 and 92 had just as much work done in the 8-10 year span that they've been here as the 97 International did, if not more. And that's 20 years here in service.
And what they do here, they want to purchase new trucks, like I said before. A year and a half from now, I'm not supervisor anymore, unless something come up I don't see. Usually the ones that have to work with the finances in the future.
Well, let's get back to the specifics. can no longer order a new one for next winter.
No, that's out of the question. Everybody's already back.
And do we agree that 1992 International is done for?
Unless we decide to sink money into it, yes, there's no.
92, 102, 12, that's the one that's what, 29 years old?
I agree that one.
We're, okay.
You'd be
so
better off to buy a used truck.
We agree that that one can be retired. We agree that the average age of our trucks are 19 years old. The newest one is 10 years. Now, I noticed that in 2003 is when you bought the Mack. That was approximately 100,000. In 2004, no, also in 2003, you bought 550 for about 50,000. In 2006, we bought another 550 for 55,000. And the last truck you bought new was 2008 for 60,000. Does that sound about right?
The last
Last new one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm concerned about the finances, Art. We budgeted 50,000 last year, and we budgeted 50,000 this year. We also, our road expenses came in under budget for 2018 to the tune of about 60,000. It looks like it's possible that we, within our budget, within our finances for 2018, we could afford a replacement new truck. Now, you said the only option left is that
In order to get one.
that demo, and you don't know how long that's going to be available.
I don't. That could be sold tomorrow. I have no idea. I don't know how long. I know they price it out. Now this is obviously what they're going to tell me this. They're a salesman like anybody else. And, oh yeah, we priced it out to 3 other townships, so you better make up your mind quickly. But I mean, that's the only option new that we can do. There are used options, you know. But I don't know how. I know how the used process works, but I think somebody should probably set. You as a board should probably set a price on what you want to spend on a used one, you know, because if I find a used one, whether it be online bidding or at a lot somewhere, you know, till I would get to use, okay, this truck's for sale for this much, can I spend it? And then everybody wants to see the specs and think about it for a little bit, and then the truck's gone. So I think somebody, if used is the way you want to go, somebody's got to set a limit for me. Say, okay, yeah, 50,000. Find a used truck for 50,000, and that's what I'll start searching for. But I would, prefer to go new. But I understand the financial part of it. You know that I'm not disagreeing with you, Sarah. So if used is the way we got to go, it's the way we got to go. I'd rather have a used truck and a 7 truck for this winter than be shorter truck. It makes it longer hours for the guys, more overtime we're paying.
Well, there's ways around that. You could have shifts. You know, as far as overtime goes, you could do the same amount of, 4 trucks and have 8 drivers and just do shifts. The roads won't get cleared as fast.
Yeah.
If you want to go with a new one, we still should have another truck at this point. We should look at a used one. And I used to go look at them. I remember going to Heidelberg Township, they had one advertised in the news magazine. And I went right there and looked at it. Well, it told me one at 30,000. I looked at it, I said, you know what? This thing ain't worth more than 5. That's how bad it was. I looked it all over. The next magazine we got next month, they had it listed for 5,000. But
They originally had it listed for 30 and dropped it to 5.
well, when I inspected everything and crawled under and looked at all the framework and rust and cab and everything, it wasn't worth more than 5.
Yeah.
So they dropped it. But there are some good used ones that townships get rid of.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, some of them, they have a turnaround period. They're turning trucks every 5 years or something, regardless. And they set that because they find that's the time period, that's when plow trucks start to give issues, and that's why they have that turn period.
If I would lean this way, if you can talk to Amcuts, who's getting rid of trucks, or I guess it's 5 Star they do it too, or the other trucking that builds them.
Lancaster Truck Bodies.
Right. And they would put you on to, this township's getting rid of theirs, they're getting their new one next month or 2 months. And if they would want to, you and him go look at them, ask them what they want for it. Because a lot of these townships, they have no idea what they're gonna do with their used one. They wanna get rid of them.
Right.
But, and when you buy a used one, you can't be looking at something unless it's in really good shape that's gonna last more than 10 to 15 years. That's it. So you're not going to be spending lots and lots of money. Nobody's gonna get rid of their better trucks.
Yeah. I mean, from what I see, a lot of the average price for, I think, decent used plow trucks that I see is 30 to 50. That's what I'm thinking.
If you can get one for 30,000 that lasts 15 years, that's $2,000 a year. And that's reasonable to have a truck on the road for $2,000 a year.
Well, a new truck, you will get 10, 12 years of pretty much no cost because you're only using it in the summer. Summer in the winter, you're not using it much in the summer. I think that, like I say, if we do the numbers here and you can afford a new truck in 2018, and we budget 50, 60,000 a year, so every 2 to 3 years you at least have the ability to replace. The fleet's just getting older. I think we need to start putting some new stuff in there because they're all going to be out.
Yeah.
If we can get you on a program that every 3 years maybe you're starting to replace with new, and start to turn this thing over, in 12, 15 years you'd have pretty much retire most of the old stuff.
Yeah, it's I mean, you think about it, it's not just the trucks, it's our road tractors in 92, and the backhoe's, starting to show its age, losing power. The roller, that doesn't get used much, and that's still in good shape, but I think we have 13 pieces of equipment. So you're looking 2 or 3 years, so you get back to the first piece you replaced brand new, you're looking 3 years out. It's 13 times 3. Sorry. What is that? 39 years old? Am I correct? Is my math right on that? So it's but.
But we have 7 trucks. If you replace one every, say, 2 years, then till you got back where you started, you're 14, 15 years into it.
Yeah.
See, we only ever had 3 trucks before.
Yeah.
And only brought on 7 and the used ones.
Right.
Just to cut the routes down and the driving time.
Right. Which is very good idea.
Yeah.
Because
when we were out there with only 3 trucks and contracted lean rate, it was long snow events.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a time when I came in here that I expected to go home with usually about 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you went home for a while and you were back out again.
Yeah.
But with the extra trucks, it was possible to...
Isn't it practical to do shifts?
Don't work.
Were you talking 7 trucks shifts or like doing 4 trucks?
If you have, well, 6, and it takes 6, halfway in between, and just have a couple extra guys.
It's,
Or you're gonna-
I struggle, where I see the issue there is I struggle already to find guys that wanna plow snow in the winter. And to find another however many drivers, it's, I don't have them knock on my door. I mean, I've asked around, and we're short drivers, and it's tough to find people that wanna do it.
I like the idea when there's a driver and he's got a truck. And that's his truck. And he drives that truck. Not you have multiple people driving that truck. Because I guarantee things are gonna happen to him. Who did that?
Right.
I don't know. You know.
So that would get you back to replace the International 1992.
Right.
You're saying you have another truck that's on its last leg too. If you could find a used truck, something that you could get 5-6 years out of, and replace that one.
In 19 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can find a used one to help you out for now. Don't run the 92. Should get you through winter, and then if you want a new one, you saved up enough money.
Well, we're okay in 2018. We budgeted for a new truck.
It'd be 160
Yeah.
approximately.
Yeah. But if you're trying to get a used truck for the 7th one, I'm saying, 20,000 max or something like that, just get
Well, if
something.
he's
that
looking at
lasts.
something that's only gonna last 5 years, 20,000 is a lot of money.
Is it?
Because it's, they're pretty near shot if they're gonna only last 5 years.
What do you think, Dave?
I like the idea of looking for a used one. You can find decent used trucks. And then, getting them in the rotation, swap every, whatever it would be, 3 years. Getting a new one on the fleet.
When are you suggesting we'd have to get the first new one?
As soon as we got budget for it.
Well, we budgeted this year,
We didn't have enough to,
in 2018.
that doesn't buy or use one that we're gonna need for this coming winter.
But there's one new one that they had, it's a demo that we could purchase that would be available immediately.
Yeah.
And we have the money budgeted for it.
Yeah.
We'll start rolling our fleet over now.
It's just you might end up with just 6 trucks this winter instead of 7.
No, we're only out one.
Yeah, we're only out one.
Well, okay.
So that's, I don't know what the 87's gonna take for inspection this year, but
Okay.
it passed last year. I don't know why it wouldn't pass. I mean, the garage guy works with us pretty well because he knows we don't put many miles on them and only use those trucks for snow removal, so.
Can we authorize him to lock in a final price on that demo and then check that each board member can have a chance to confirm it?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to ratify it next, ratify the purchase.
Okay.
And still, keep his eyes open.
Yeah, yeah.
I used
Who needs one?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any action on that?
Not now.
Okay. Okay, you also had the park and rec. Anything you want to add? You're working through some things with your, you're working with the park and rec.
Yeah, I was working with them, just to kind of go over what I have in the report. I had requested 3 quotes for the hockey court to get resurfaced, and I only received 2 back. The other guy, he said he was gonna come out and look. I haven't, it's been like 6-8 weeks, I haven't heard from him. I don't know what's going on there. But the low bid came in with the Brecknock Company, which is who did our courts last year at $9,600. And I know there's a big difference between the low bidder and the second low bidder, but I know I only found one difference between their estimates, and even if you take that one difference out, the low bidder is still a low bidder. And then, in order, after the court is resurfaced, then we can start thinking about building these hockey boards around. And I had done some research on this HDPE board that they want to put on the hockey boards, and found it for about $2,000 cheaper. I think it was, the original price was $182 per sheet or $192, and I found it for $133 per sheet. So.
You'll continue to work with the Park and Rec on that.
Yeah, they approved all that. We're just looking for your approval now to go through with getting the hockey court resurfaced and purchasing the hockey boards and everything else.
Is there any questions or concern with following through with their recommendation?
What was the difference again that you had, I'd seen that somewhere in the proposal?
The original boards from Farm Tech, I think, were $182.
No, on the asphalt,
The difference between the low bidder and second low bidder, it's like, Brecknock Company was $9,600, and Lancaster Asphalt was $19,699.
right, but there was a different product or something.
Oh, the only difference I can see between the estimates is the Lancaster Asphalt would be putting 2 coats of some kind of skating surface. I don't know the details of the skating surface, what it is, but if you would take that out, their estimate would still be around $14,000, and Brecknock's is $9,600. Brecknock's they did our courts last year. They're very well known. They do schools. They do a lot of courts in this area. We've had them previously, not just last year, but years before, do courts, and it seems they do a really good job. So.
Okay, the Park and Rec recommended the Brecknock Company for the coating, asphalt coating. Did they recommend anything on the boards?
Yeah, they recommend that we go with, we get the boards from Athletica Sports Systems.
Okay.
At an estimated cost of $10,300.
Okay.
That's including lumber and everything else. The boards from Athletica is only actually like $8,300 or something like that. But.
And the funds are there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the Park and Rec's recommendation and go with the Brecknock Company for $9,600 for the resurfacing, and the Athletica Sports System for the boards of $10,302.50. Okay, motion was made to accept the recommendation from the Park and Rec, and it was second. Those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries.
Have a barbecue.
Okay.
Where are you planting these trees?
We're not sure yet. We got free trees from TPL and the Roots program. The park board felt that a lot of trees have died over the years throughout the park, and they wanted to replant some. I do not really know where they plan on planting them.
So they just, I'm gonna put 6 here, I'm gonna put 10 there.
I don't know what the plan is. I guess we were going to discuss that with them a little bit more in the fall. when we get them. We won't receive them, I don't think, until September, October, somewhere in there.
And who's gonna plant them?
Probably probably Pete and Gary and the road crew. They're just seedlings, it's not
Right.
It's not,
I remember buds being planted, and then here comes the mowers and mowed them all off, all that time.
well, I'm hoping if we,
They're not long anymore.
I hope if we get the tubes, the tree tubes, to mark them, they won't be so easily missed.
Yeah.
I know there were some big ones that were mowed off too.
Okay, we move on.
Yep.
You have your SEO report, and you have the zoning officer's report. And Levi, do you want to talk about the farmhouse roof at this time?
I can do that.
Okay.
I had contacted 3 roofing contractors, the same 3 that I contacted last year. I only received 1 proposal back. There was a second one that really expressed interest, but then he never submitted a proposal. So we have a proposal from Martin's Roofing, and its exterior is the same company that did phase 1, and I think they did an excellent job. But this would be to do the front porch roof, the summer kitchen roof, take off the lean-to that's been attached to the summer kitchen. It doesn't blend with the town at all. And they would put AZEC trim, and underneath the porch is currently aluminum, like roofing material. That would be removed, and they put the 5 1/4 feet of AZEC board. And so, yeah, there would be the gutters and the downspouts would be included this time on the whole thing, and then also snow guards on the house and the porch roof. So for a total of $18,518.
And I think I read somewhere this was going to be a not to exceed.
That's correct. Yeah.
Because of some of the, if it
Yeah.
comes in less, he would pass the savings on.
Yeah, there's a change in, well, on the porch, he figured a 12-inch spacing between standing seams. We might go to 19-inch spacing to match the house roof. That would save a bit of money. And then, of course, with the snow guards, there'd be fewer snow guards. But yeah, so it would, it's not to exceed.
Okay. Board, any questions for Levi? Seems like we're putting money into that place, and as long as Jim lived there, we didn't have any expenses. But when he moved out, now all of a sudden, yeah, I know, I did, and it's like, it was just a time bomb waiting to happen for him to move out, and then we have to fix it all up.
He was complaining about the roof for a long time.
I know he was after a
Yeah.
former road crew member to get up there and paint it.
Okay.
And he didn't want to.
Any concerns why we should move ahead with the roof?
Up to this point, I think my perspective has only been more or less securing the building, preserving it so then there's not additional deterioration from what's there. So this is something we had to do, and all of this was started long before these people contacted us.
Yeah.
So
It's just, and you are we're putting metal standing seam roof, which could be a 50 to 100-year roof, so it's not like.
Right, and the AZEC, has a no
Yeah.
maintenance type of thing, so it's really gonna cut back. The part that they did, I think, was great.
The only thing I don't really like is that back porch being removed.
The back porch, what?
The being removed, the roof over the
The
back
lean
porch.
to.
Oh.
Yeah.
With a two-seater in it.
That was originally part of the original, I think.
Yeah, I'm
Not,
sure
not the
what
way it's built now, but it was originally
Yeah.
a roof over the porch from the looks of it.
Yeah, it's wooden, it's lean-to, shed roof. The summer kitchen roof just keeps, comes down over top of that. And, it probably wouldn't change the price, it'd be additional sheeting, but he wouldn't have to, remove that. What it does is cover a nice stone wall that you don't see from the outside at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the walls going away, but the roof.
Oh,
I have a porch roof there, a little porch on the back corner. I think that's what it was originally. I don't think those walls were original.
What are the frame walls? So it is?
Yeah.
Okay, and a roof with frame walls on the back of the porch.
There's a concrete porch floor sticking out beyond the frame wall, the side walls.
So you're saying take the walls down and let the roof there, and we'll have possibly the roof there.
I think it would make I don't know. My thoughts, leave the porch, take the walls away and leave the porch roof.
I can't picture the back. There's a door there, I guess.
There is 2 doors.
The porch roof would protect the doors from the weather.
Yeah.
There's one door coming out of the kitchen.
Leave the roof there and put posts and make it a nice porch.
Okay. It probably would increase the cost a little bit. I don't know, with the trim around the.
Yeah, but it keeps the weather off the door. You use that door and you're out of the rain and snow and everything else. There's some value to that.
Right. I'm just saying, if we go that way, it may increase the cost a little bit. I don't know, it would not. You wouldn't have to cut the roof off.
Well, we can authorize Levi to continue and make that change, or have him come back with another proposal with what you're suggesting. We'll probably keep things
We'll
moving.
push it into June, and I'd expect to have it done this summer, but I don't know how, what the state looks like, but at this point, he said he will have no trouble pushing it by hand walls.
If the quote goes up, it would have to be approved again. Because they might ask him if it would cost more, if we approve what we're doing, and then they would ask him if, if we do it this way, would it cost
Could
more?
they make the
Not to
addition,
exceed, or.
could they make the additional retroactive next month? Because he's probably not, ratify
You
the
can
additional,
ratify it,
like
just
do
so it's-
the main portion
Yeah,
of
that's-
it now.
It would be
Yeah.
a minor amount.
Yeah, that's
I don't
fine.
think it would be even 10%.
Yeah, that's fine.
35%.
Can the road crew remove the framing?
It's a minor thing.
Okay.
And he's got a dumpster there and all that. So I offered that he not include that, he said it's only half an hour's work. We'll see.
He's doing a time and material not to exceed, and maybe he can do everything within his $18,518. Okay. Make that a motion.
Just the way it is, or
With the porch the way you want it.
okay, I make a motion that we accept the bid the way it's proposed here, with the exception that we look at what it would cost to leave porches there.
I doubt that he'll get started, but it needs to get in the schedule. Like, he'll
Yeah.
get started before June meeting. So I think
Which
he's,
is-
I think he needs to have work so he can get in the
just so I'm clear, if he says shouldn't call us anymore, and do it at the same time, we can just go ahead and take that.
That's correct.
Okay with that? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion was made to accept the estimate for Martin Roofing Exterior to do as the scope indicates, with the additional work as Dave Weinbach requested. And it was second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, where's my email? Okay, we have nothing else. Park and Rec?
I make the motion that we accept the engineer, roadmaster, SEO, zoning officer as presented.
Seconded. Okay, the reports were approved, or as, and it was second, those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Do you have anything to add? Okay. Okay, under new business, I did announce last month that we had an executive session to interview a replacement for the road crew. And we did make a job offer, and I want to make a motion now that we retroactively approve that hiring of that individual, Harold Knoll, full-time, that was effective April 30th, at the starting rate of $19 per hour.
I second it.
Okay, the motion was made and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we're going to have an executive session immediately following this meeting to discuss the possible litigation. I think that concludes our agenda items.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 9:08.
Second.
Okay, motion was made second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.